Slavery in the Byzantine Empire was widespread and common throughout its history. Slavery was already common in classical Greece and in the earlier Roman Empire. The military campaigns and expansion of the empire in the 10th century resulted in a large numbers of slaves. Source of slaves. A main source of slave were prisoners of war, of which there was a great profit to be made. The Skylitz's chronicle mentions that after the Battle of Adressos many prisoners of war were sent to Constantinople. They were so numerous that they filled all the mansions and rural regions. Most of the menials in large Byzantine homes were slaves and were very numerous. Danalis of Patras, a wealthy widow in the 9th century, gave a gift to 3,000 slaves to Emperor Basil I. The eunuch Basil, chancellor during the reign of Basil II, was said to have owned 3,000 slaves and retainers. Some slaves worked the landed estates of their masters, which declined in later ages. A medieval Arab historian estimates that 200,000 women and children were taken as slaves after the Byzantine reconquest of Crete from the Muslims. Yet parents, living in the Byzantine Empire, were forced to sell their children to pay their debts, which Byzantine laws unsuccessfully tried to prevent. After the 10th century, the major source of slaves were often Slavs and Bulgars, which resulted from campaigns in the Balkans and lands north of the Black Sea. At the eastern shore of the Adriatic, many Slav slaves were exported to other parts of Europe. Slaves were one of the main articles that Russian traders dealt in their yearly visit to Constantinople. After the 12th century, the Old Greek word delta omicron lambda omicron sigma obtained a synonym in sigma kappa lambda alpha beta omicron sigma, perhaps derived from the same root as Slav. Social life. Slavery was mostly an urban phenomenon, with most of the slaves working in households. The Farmer's Law of the 7th, 8th centuries and the 10th century, Book of the Prefect, deals with slavery. Slaves were not allowed to marry until it was legalized by an emperor in 1095. However, they did not gain freedom if they did. The children of slaves remained slaves even if the father was their master. Many of the slaves became drafted in the army. Eunuchs. Eunuchs were a special group among the slaves. Young boys were castrated before or after puberty and used as eunuchs. Castration was outlawed, but the law was poorly enforced. They were imported and exported to the empire by traders. Eunuchs became very popular at some times, could rise to high posts and fetch high prices. In rich Byzantine families they were accepted as part of the household. Eunuchs played an important role in the Byzantine palace and court. Prices. Slave markets were present in many Byzantine cities and towns. The slave market of Constantinople was found in the Valley of the Lamentations. At certain times a 10-year-old child's price was 10 nomismata, a castrated one of the same age was worth 30, an adult male 20 and an adult eunuch 50 nomismata. Famous slaves. Samornis, Andrew of Constantinople, Zarchus, John Axouch,